Have a Chevy Square Body and the tailgate's giving you issues? Well, this is what I did to make mine work super smoothly. Look at this, pinky operation. All right, going over the tools I used. I used an impact driver with a 9/16 and a 1/2-inch socket. You can also use a wrench. I did not use either of these things. I used a hammer drill or a 1/4-inch hex impact driver with a PH3 bit. I used 3 5/16 lock washers, 3 5/16 flat washers. I used a drill with a 7/64-inch bit, an oiler with some cutting oil. In this case, I just used 30 weight. And I used 3 bolts. I used 5/16 by 18 by, well, I technically used, 1 inch, but I believe that the stock ones are 3/4. Here's what I did. This is an overview on how to do it. I have a more detailed video of me taking it apart and putting it back together if you'd rather watch that. So, first thing I did, and PB Blaster and some copper anti-seize. Aluminum works too, but once you make the choice, you gotta either choose copper or aluminum and stick with it. It's best to not mix them. I chose copper. So, first things I did was I soaked these with PB Blaster. The original ones are these awful designed Phillips head screws, which are just basically going to strip after 50 years of sitting out in the elements. So once I did that, and that didn't work, I had to get out my drill. And I took my 7/64-inch bit, which is nice because the 7/64 will fit directly in the head of the Phillips without actually damaging the little plus. And I drilled through that, which heated up the bolt and cooled it down to the point where I could use my hammer drill or impact driver on its lowest setting. And you're going to want to put all of your weight on top of this to get those screws out. If that doesn't work and you break these bits, you can switch to a larger drill bit and, with safety goggles of course, drill it out completely and then re-tap and thread your tailgate latch holes. That is a last resort. That sucks, but that is a way to do it. Or you just get a new latch if your latch is the problem. So if your tailgate handle latch is the problem, what will happen is it will not come back down. It won't move, like it's really, really sticky. And that could be this thing. Even if you're able to physically force this handle back down, this piece right here needs to be able to move. And this one barely does, meaning that it is probably time to replace this. Thankfully, this is on my other tailgate, which I was trying to put on there, but it's for a different year, so more on that later. If these things don't pop back out, then it could be an actual side latch problem. These side latches are a lot harder to find than the tailgate latches. The tailgate latches you can find pretty much anywhere. They're going to be cheapest on Rock Auto. These side latches you can find on cjponyparts.com. That's the only place that I could find them. None of the big 3 auto stores sell them that I can find, and neither does Rock Auto, which really surprised me. But they should be good. Yeah, if you need to replace those, do that. Sometimes they just need to be oiled up. So after you get these out, then you're going to be left with a loose hitch. This whole assembly will move. Sometimes it won't want to slide out past there, so you might have to pry it up a little bit with a pair of pliers. If you don't mind, if this is a work truck, you probably won't mind that. If it's a show truck, you might want to do something different. But that will come out and it will expose, I'll show you on this latch here, that will expose this little piece right here. So that little piece, there's going to be a connecting rod in there, and you're going to have to wrestle with that. You're going to have to pull it out from the back. And here's the complicated part. So with this thing down, once you get one of those out, so you're going to have to take your 1/2-inch socket and either your wrench or your impact and take these out. Now, if you are going to take the latch off before you actually take the rods out, making sure you don't close the tailgate, what you can do is disconnect these. And this is your 9/16. Disconnect these and remove these. Now there's an easy way to do this. So basically you just lift it up as you're opening the tailgate, and then when that aligns, you'll be able to pop it out, and then it's free from that. And make sure that these strikers come off before you remove the latches, because if the latches is disconnected from the handle, or the handle is loose and it gets caught in your striker, it's going to be a real challenge to get it out of there. With that being said, on this side right here, you're going to probably do the same thing, and it's okay to let it, as long as you don't put any weight on it, it's okay to let it rest on the back here, but make sure that you do that after you take these screws out, because you are going to be putting a lot of weight on them. It's okay for it to rest on the bumper as long as there's not like a ton of weight on it. So after these are out and these are out, 1/2 inch 9/16, and you do the same thing on the other side with the metal straps, you can push that little rod out from the back. Start with the bottom one, which is going to be the right side first. You're going to take that out, and then this whole assembly should come out. It's going to be a latch. Some of them look like this, some of them look like the other one. There's going to be a rod connected to it. And you just pull that out, and the rods are identical, so you don't have to keep track of which side the rods are. The latches, well, these have a left and right, and the older ones, they don't have, they both work on either side. So taking that out, it's pretty easy. You're going to pull that out, then you're going to have to pull this whole handle down through this opening, which is kind of challenging, and sometimes you might need to bend it up a little bit. Pull that out, and then it'll expose the other rod, which is connected to the top here, which is pretty well hidden. And then you can get that out, then you can pull this side latch out. Then after you pull that side latch out, you can take your new latches or clean up your old latches, whatever you need to do. Make sure that the springs are good, put them back in. It is crucial that as you're putting them back in, you make sure that this angle is going like that. If this side is flat and sticking out like this, it will not latch, and it'll just slide right open. It needs to be able to actually come in contact, and this angle needs to push it in and then close and stay closed, not the other way around. So put those latches in. Don't screw them in though, just set them in here, push them through. You're going to have to fish out the little rod in this hole here, and then you're going to do this side. When installing, do the left side first. Put this, there is a little pin, or that little hole, you're going to need to push that through. And it's okay to do this part when you're like down here. You're going to push that through that hole right there, and then you can kind of push that in out of the way. Then go to this side, put your latch in, put your rod in, and you will see the end of the rod. It might get caught right there, so just fish it out with your finger and put that one on the bottom. Again, you want to make sure that this right here, that the latch is facing that correct way. Oh, oops. You do not want that latch to be facing the other way. It has to be facing like this, with the diagonal slanting down towards the ground, as if you're like coming off the tailgate. Then once that's in, once these are connected in here, you're going to go to the back side here, and you're going to take, I'm using 5/8 or 5/16 by 18 by 1 inch bolts, and I used a lock washer and I used a flat washer, and I did bolt, lock washer, flat washer, and then I put anti-seize on the tip of the bolts so that if I ever need to take it out again, it will come out. And I put those 3 bolts back in, and then I went on to these things. Now I put these back in. It is important that they do move around, so you're going to have to align them certain ways. And sometimes aligning them certain ways means that you're going to need to like test fit it. You need to make sure that both sides click and both sides go in. It would be really, really bad if just one side was in, or if none of them were in, if these were too far back. So I like bringing them pretty much as far forward as they come, but it doesn't need to be all the way forward, you know, if you want the sides of the bed to line up with your tailgate, you know. So yeah, that's it. Then with your new or cleaned up tailgate handle, you can use one finger to open. Isn't that nice? And that's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and suggest any improvements or suggestions for future videos in the comments. Thank you.